Okay, third time's a charm. I know we're gonna do it this time. I'm so sorry. Third time's a charm, but here we go. I'm gonna wait a second before I check my request. Oh, wait, there she is. Let's see if this works this time. Yay, there she is. Okay, I'm gonna add her. She should be coming any second now. Dun, da, da, da. Oh my goodness, there you are. Awesome. Let's see. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. Hold on, guys. Just slight technical difficulty, but we're getting this together. I'm so excited that she's here. Maybe can my managers text me and let me know if you can hear either one of us? Let's see. But, or hopefully you can hear me. Oh dear, I lost her. Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me still, but we're going to try it again in a second. But I will say one thing I'm excited to learn from Jessica, and even if we can't make this live stream work, and hopefully we can, I really encourage you guys to go, and I can put a link to her article that she recently wrote. And we can, I'm getting all these texts from friends. I really appreciate it. They're like, I can hear you. Because on these things, you just can't tell. So thank you. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, my managers, for letting me know. And thank you guys for letting me know. But I really encourage you guys to listen to good facts, because there's so much information out there and it's hard to know what's true, what's false, what's real. And Jessica Yellen is a great source to find facts from, because that's what she's all about. She's all about giving the facts and cutting through the fake news and the scare tactics. That was her job, as she was a correspondent with the White House for CNN for years. So anyways, a lot of people are asking me about new music. I don't know if I'll be making much new music, but just because I don't have any recording equipment with me or anything, but I will probably be writing. And also I will be, okay, I think Jessica's back on. Not only will I be writing, but tomorrow I'm going to be doing a live concert. So let's see, I'm not seeing Jessica here. So Jessica, if you're here, just request to join my live. And I'll be ready to bring you in as soon as you're here. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be doing a live stream concert. And so I'm really excited about that. And that'll be really fun. So join me tomorrow, noon PST. Pacific time. And
I hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Amazing. That's what determination looks like, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for fighting to make this work. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for caring enough to do this.
Absolutely. I mean, I just think that right now so many people are scared, people are confused, and there's nothing that makes me feel better than at least having actual facts and information. And the hardest thing is when everybody's just hearing this and hearing that, and no one knows what to trust, and so you don't know how to respond.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that you're taking the time to talk with us, and my fans have written in a ton of questions. Well, first of all, do you want to explain to everybody? I kind of explained who you are, but do you want to talk about who you are and what you do, and why you are the best source to talk to right now?
That's so sweet. Yes, my name is Jessica Yellen. I spent 17 years as an on-air TV reporter learning how to report the traditional way, and then decided we're talking so much. The way we talk is so negative and so opinionated that people aren't listening anymore. There has to be another way to do news. Mm-hmm. And like a crazy person, I started an Instagram feed where I just tell people the information. Yeah. And the whole idea is to get you what actually matters in context, in a way you can use, and none of the noise. Not partisanship, not politics, not opinion, just what is the information. So that's my mission.
Love it. And there's no better time for that than right now. So yes, and I glanced through, and I'm going to read it fully later, but the article you wrote about all this, I think I'm going to put a link for it after this, because I think everyone should read it. But first of all, I want to talk about just some of the questions that my fans sent in.
Yeah.
First and foremost, a lot of people are asking, is everyone overreacting, or are we not reacting enough? That's like the big thing I saw tons of.
So I want to say first, my whole point of view is usually everyone's overreacting. I'm usually the one who says it's all noise. You don't have to be that freaked out. You know, they're exaggerating. In this case, it's different.
Yeah.
And I wish I didn't have to say that. But this is extremely serious. This is the most serious event we've had in our lives since 9/11.
Yeah.
And we know that because we've already seen what's happened, sweeping across China, Italy, Iran, country after country is in crisis because of COVID.
So can you tell us a little bit more? Like, I've heard so many rumors about what's happening over there, and some people say that it's being hidden from us, like they're not giving us actual information. You know, we see like little Instagram memes about it, but, you know, people singing from their balconies. And so part of it looks like, oh, this is fun. But what is the actual situation that is happening in some of these countries like Italy and like China? Because it's devastating from what, you know, the little bits we can see.
They're on lockdown. Mm-hmm. So all of Italy is on lockdown. Like some of your viewers might be in New York where they're in shelter in place, and some might be in cities where they're not sheltering. When you live in Italy, you spend your whole day indoors. You're allowed out only to get groceries. Pharmacy, if you can prove you have a prescription, you have to show it to the police, and you can walk your dog. Or this is the thing that's become controversial there, you can jog alone. Mm-hmm. But you cannot be on the street with other people. You cannot be wandering about. And the reason is because in China, they did it in an even more serious way, where they made people stay home no matter what. There were police chasing you down, taking a thermometer, making sure you have permission to go out, because they found the only way to prevent the spread is to lock people up in their homes, basically.
Wow. You know, and is it true that the hospitals are like extremely overrun? And I guess my next question is, one, certain states are on lockdown. So like, I know that a lot of like LA is on lockdown, New York, like there's certain places where you know, it's very similar to what's happening in Italy. And do you foresee that our whole country could possibly be in this situation soon?
Yes. Okay. Do you mind if I just start by explaining what coronavirus is? Is that okay?
Please. Please, yes.
Okay, because people are at different levels, and just to get everyone, coronaviruses are a kind of virus that have existed, and they have some very, very deadly strains. You may have heard of bird flu in the past, or swine flu. Those were strains, SARS and MERS strains of coronavirus. What we have now, this thing called COVID-19, is a whole new strain. And the thing about it is we have not had it before. We have no immunity. So our bodies have no way to protect against it. They believe it came from bats. It jumped into humans. And when it gets in us, our body is like, our immunity system is fighting it, but it doesn't know how. And it attacks the lungs. And in the bad cases, it's extremely, horrifically, tragically bad. Yeah. And it's extremely contagious. And so that's why everybody's reacting at max alert, because we spread it so fast and the impact can be so devastating.
Okay, so I love that you're talking about what it is, because I mean, I've heard a lot of people are like, but it's like not even as bad as the common flu. This is a thing that you hear a lot of people talking about. And like, I've heard people say, I think I've had it and it wasn't that bad. You know, what makes this different from the common flu? And, you know, and are there cases where maybe it's not so bad for some people, but that, like, I've heard 1 in 5 have to be hospitalized? Like, are these true things? And what is it that makes it different from the common flu?
So, the common flu is at least 10 times deadlier than the common flu. So
really,
out of 20, if the common flu, if one person gets it and dies, in coronavirus, 10. Okay. But that's the conservative estimate. Some people say it's basically 30% deadlier. So it's hard to know because it's so brand new, truly how devastating it is. The thing that's hard to wrap your mind around, but if you listen for a second, I'll explain it. When you get the bad version, you have to go to the hospital, and a lot of those people are put on ventilators. Basically, you can't breathe on your own, and you need a machine to breathe for you. And you can stay on that machine for up to 4 weeks. The problem is, so many of us are expected to get it at the same time. This is a hard thing to hear, so I just want to prepare people. Okay, It's okay to say the bad stuff?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so the problem is so many of us could get it at the same time. Some of us will get the bad version, and then everybody's going to need ventilators at the same time, and we don't have enough in the country.
Right.
So all these people are going to need ventilators, but we only have ventilators for this many. So what happens to the rest? And one of the reasons it's so important to stay home is to make sure not that many people get it at the same time. We want enough ventilators for the people who are sick.
Right. Well, and, that brings up another point about social distancing has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people. I know what it means to me. And
what does it mean to you?
To me, I'm locked up in a house. We're not going anywhere. The people I'm locked in with is my sister, her husband, and her 2 babies. And we're not seeing anyone else. Like, we do grocery pickup when we need, but we're taking this very seriously. And,
bravo.
And to me, and tell me if I think a lot of people, I've seen so many questions in the comments where people were like, well, can I have play dates? My kids are going crazy. And, or can I see my cousins? Like, can our family? But it's like, or I think because the whole under 10 people rule happened for a while, people think that social distancing means being in groups of under 10, where I don't think that's what it means. I think it means you find whoever you're with, whoever you're staying with, that's your people.
You are right. There's no lack of clarity around this. You are right. The people who say 10 are wrong.
Right.
So what has happened is that in this country in particular, in the U.S., we've been very, very, very slow to respond and take this seriously.
Right.
And because our government's been super worried about scaring us, they did the whole 10 people thing.
Yeah.
And they were super slow to get testing, and now they're super slow to be building ventilators. So what we can do as the people is be smarter.
Yeah.
And look at what's happened in other countries. And what's happened in other countries is the people who are the safest are the ones who kept to their family and really basically isolated themselves.
Right.
I like to call it physical distance because you can be social. We're being social.
I love that.
Right? It's physical distance, social connection.
Yes. And I think that, it's really cool to see how people are using, all these different apps and, Instagram lives and, FaceTiming. Like, there's so many ways to feel connected and not feel socially isolated. So I love that. This is social distancing. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. And I just feel like it does give us a sense of a little bit of power in a situation that can feel very powerless when we take a little bit of ownership of like, well, this is how I am going to deal with the situation and making it a choice before it's not a choice anymore. Before we have no choices left, like, let's choose to be responsible. Let's choose to stay home and social distance or
physical distance.
Physical distance. I want to coin that term with you. That's great. So yeah, I think it's just so important for you, like you said, for us to be the ones that take it seriously, because a lot of times it's really nice to hope that our government is going to make blanket statements that tell us what to do. But we live in a time where we can make those decisions for ourselves, and we can spread those through social media. And so, everybody, you have the power to make these decisions for yourself and to share them with other people, to share the knowledge that you gain. But also, okay, some other questions I want to get into. First of all, is there anything else you wanted to share? Well,
I see people asking, can you go outside? And one of the lessons they've learned is that you are allowed to go outside if you stay 6 feet away from other people and you stay alone. So I go for 1 walk a day, and I go at a quiet time of the day, so I'm not going to see people, and I stay 6 feet from them. If I cross paths, you want to be so far away that if they sneeze, it won't reach you.
Right. Okay. So that's a good point, because it is important to get outside, so we don't go crazy. And, we can do things that will keep us sane, but we just need to do them in a very safe way. Like, we just have to reorder our thinking a little bit. Okay, the biggest question I have seen of anything else is, and I don't think there's an answer for this yet, but everyone wants to know how long, how long is this going to last? And I know that LA right now was given like a month from yesterday. It was a whole month of social distancing. And so, staying home, only essentials, like what's happened to Italy. That's, a month, and to be extended if needed. So do you have any idea? Has there been any kind of predictions that you're aware of?
I mean, yes, but we don't know. So what we do know is that it will take about 18 months to get a vaccine from development to people.
Okay.
Because you have to go through testing, trials where they give it to people, see how they react, then figure out dosage, blah, blah, then put it through the pipeline and get it to us. 18 months is an impossible amount of time to imagine that we would change our society to be different because of coronavirus. There are people who imagine that there'll be ways we learn to function in that time. Maybe there are treatments, maybe there are quiet periods. But the thing to start thinking about is we're going to change our patterns of living for a while.
Okay.
And you can think about it in like 1 month blocks. So maybe we shelter for a month and then we see what happens. Italy was asked to shelter for a month, and now there's talk that it might be another month on top of that.
Okay. And I think that's a good way to look at it is we all want to know, like, okay, in, 6 weeks, we'll be out and about. But at the same time, sometimes it's almost better to just take things like one day at a time or 1 month at a time because, I look back and sometimes the things I didn't know would take as long as they did. I'm like, well, thank heavens I didn't know it would take that long to learn the violin, thank heavens I didn't know it would take that long to like overcome depression or anorexia or any of these battles that I faced. I almost am like grateful that I went into it just with a, one step at a time mindset because it's easier to take things that way. And that way we won't lose our gusto, but it is, it is just one of those things. We have to all be in this together, and we have to be team players because the more people that don't participate, it just diminishes the sacrifice of everybody else,
1,000%. Every time I see people out at a bar or like hanging out with friends, what they don't understand, it breaks my heart, is that's selfish because they can get it and carry it to other people who will die.
Right.
And they don't know that, but every one of us has to do our part to support our country, our community, our world in stopping this.
Right. And, to anyone that thinks that this, well, I'm not in the demographic, like I'm not going to get hurt by this. If our hospitals are full and your child breaks their leg, guess what? There's not a hospital bed. If the hospitals are full and your wife is about to have a baby, guess what? It's going to be really hard. Like, so this is something that I don't care who you are. I don't care what demographic you're in. Like, we are all going to be massively affected by this. Businesses are going to hurt. And the more we team together and stop this, the safer every single person is going to be because we are all at risk of this affecting us somehow.
1,000%. And I will say, again, I hate being the bearer of bad news, but a lot of the thing that came out of China is it was described like it's mild in 80% of the cases and that people really don't get it bad. That was kind of a myth.
Oh,
so
okay.
When they say mild, that can include pneumonia. Mild in 80% of cases mean I didn't have to go to the hospital, but you could still get hit with a really bad case at home. And there's just a New York Times article and a research document saying people under the age of 54 have had really bad cases where they are hospitalized in some big numbers. So as this rolls on, and we have more data, we're going to see this is affecting everyone. So
absolutely,
social distance to protect other people, also a way of protecting yourself no matter your age.
Exactly. Well, and I saw some questions about this too. Does it have lasting effects? Like, does it affect, like, I've seen this before where people say it affects your lungs permanently in some cases. Is that true?
So let me just say, first of all, I'm not a doctor. I am a seasoned journalist. And what I do is I spend my days reading research reports and consulting with experts to understand them and ensure that I understand them accurately. So I don't give medical advice, but I can tell you that, yes, there is extensive data that shows many times when people get coronavirus, COVID, it leaves lasting damage on the lungs.
Okay.
And not always, just like this, not always, but in a lot of cases.
And then how there are still germs out there. You know, we happen to be in the middle of allergy season. Terrible time for this to hit. You know, I have friends that are freaking out because they're like, I'm coughing, you know. So, you know, do you have any advice on, first of all, like, one, how you really can know if you have it or not, or if you just have a cold or, you know, allergies. Secondly, not everyone needs to be hospitalized. And I think because of this scare, there's this instinct to like run to the hospital if you're sick, which isn't, you know, we can't have a run on the hospital. So how do you know if you need to go to the hospital, and how do you know if you have it or not?
So in other countries outside the US, you have it because testing is available in many places. And that's the only way to be sure you have it, is with a positive test.
Okay.
The US has been woefully behind in our testing. We just screwed it up. There's no other way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So there aren't enough tests. And the thing to do is like people powered, just be smart. The symptoms are sore throat, fever, cough, sometimes gastrointestinal like distress, stomach, vomiting, nausea.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all of them. If you have any of them, one thing you could do is go get a flu test. First thing you do is you call your doctor and ask your doctor what to do. Then you get a flu test to rule out flu. If it's flu, maybe it's just that. You take an allergy pill to see is it allergy.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you quarantine at home and pretend you have it, because that's the safest bet.
Yeah.
And then after 14 days, if your symptoms are gone, they think you're okay. You have no symptoms in 14 days. But the only way, it's a mess because we don't have tests. The only way you know for sure it's gone is you have 2 negative tests in a row. You can't even get one test to know if you have it. So the thing to do is stay home. Now, in terms of your health, you're supposed to call your doctor, and I've talked to a lot of doctors. They advise treating it like you'd treat a cold.
Okay.
The advice has been stay away from ibuprofen. They don't know how that does.
Oh.
But you could do other things. And this is the important part. A lot of people are scared of having to go, knowing when to go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. You're going to know. It's when you crash. All of a sudden, you really can't breathe. You're struggling to breathe. It's like you're underwater. And when that happens, you call 911 and get yourself to the hospital.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
I'm sorry. You gotta know.
No. You know what? Knowledge is power. And that's, at the end of the day, the worst thing is to just hear a bunch of rumors and wonder if they're true and wonder what to do and how serious to take something. And I think, this has been helpful to me just to realize, like, okay, I'm not overreacting. Like, our society is not overreacting. We need to overreact. And the fact of the matter is, like, if we underreact, we will really, really know. If we overreact, hopefully we don't ever know. But, we need to take this seriously. And the thing is, anyone who's in denial about it, the numbers are out there. We see the studies of what's happened in Italy. And I don't know if there's any way to, like, fully judge this, but I've seen, like, these graphs that show that we're like a little over a week behind Italy. And is that true?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So what's happened in Italy, and that people, you might hear the term flatten the curve a lot. What they're talking about is that what they've seen in other countries is that you have this many cases of coronavirus, and then all of a sudden it goes like that. Yeah. There's studies saying then, June. And the problem is, when you start getting this many cases, that's when people are at the hospital, a lot of them, and we don't have the ventilators. Yeah. And there are too many people in the hospital, and there are too few beds, and we're concerned that our medical system can't take it. Right. And that's where Italy, I don't want to say they're on the cusp of that. Mm-hmm. Where there are more people than beds, and they don't know what to do in some parts. Yeah. So when they say flatten the curve, it means instead of having this many cases, you want to turn it so that we're only slowly, steadily moving. And so we're going in and out of the hospital, and there's enough capacity. Right. And how do you do that? Just like you are. Staying home like you are, and staying home like I am. Yeah. And you know what? We can all offer each other support. We can all connect still, which I love that we're physically distancing. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining today and coming into for having the chat.
you know, it's really exciting to see so many people like hearting and commenting, and I just think it's nice to know things. And is there any last words you want to share, or any last things that you know, before we end this?
Yeah, we can get through this by helping each other. So it doesn't mean if somebody, your next door neighbor, needs a prescription picked up and you have the ability and they don't, you can still get it and leave it outside their door. Don't interact with them. Go home, let them know it's there. Like, we can help each other, and we can do more things like this to connect.
Absolutely. I love that.
And if I can do a plug, over on my thing, I do interviews with doctors and I answer questions from experts and psychiatrists who tell you how to keep your sanity while we're at home, and all sorts of people. So for more information, you can also check me out at Jessica Yellen.
Awesome. Yes, she knows her stuff. I've been like looking through her page, and it's really just nice to know where to go for facts, and not only facts but resources. So thank you so much for being a resource for us today.
And
absolutely. All right, and stay sane.
You too. You too.
Okay.
And
Bye. Thanks for joining, everybody.